Welcome back to my channel. I'm Christine of It's Sassy Southern Home. I appreciate you guys so much. All my subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep smashing that subscribe button. Let's keep keeping those numbers up so I can keep bringing you videos. Today is going to be 3 thrift flips and thrift flips. That's kind of hard to say. Anyhow, I've had these things in my stash for a little while, some of them, but we're going to be using decoupage techniques, transfers, and stenciling. So that's what today is going to be about. Stay tuned all the way to the end. Like buttons, any comments, I appreciate you guys. I'll answer them as soon as I can. And let's get going.
For our first project, I had this cute little bunny sign. I'm going to deconstruct him, and then, of course, I have these little wood dice from Dollar Tree, and I have a stencil, and I've just got to figure out in the end how to make that stencil work. And then some sage-colored chalk paint and some gel stain, and I think gel stain is in the color oak. So I'm just going to take the little bunny off. I did not even bother sanding down the little words on the sign because they were pretty even. So, and that's the good thing about chalk paint, y'all. If you don't work with it, if you're new to crafting or whatever, chalk paint is very forgiving. It's very, it's got great coverage. It's a great medium to use for painting items, and you don't typically have to sand anything down, rip any paint or stain off. So I'm just going to tape around the edges. I want my inside little boards to be this sage green. And then once I remove that painter's tape, I am going to take that oak stain and do that in that gel stain. And gel stain is great. Also, it dries fast, and again, great coverage. Not like a regular stain where you gotta wait hours for it to dry, and then it's kind of tacky. So the regular stain, this gel stain is perfect. So I did end up doing 2 coats. You can kind of see that wording in there still. So I did do 2 coats. Now, the little wood dice are going to be our feet. So, and I used a combination of wood glue, which mine was kind of lumpy. I don't know what happens to my wood glue, so I had to take it out with like a toothpick or something other and put it on there. Now, caveat, I will let you know, once I got all this ready, I flipped my little tray over. That's what we're making here, and it was warped. So my feet didn't sit evenly. So I did have to remove the feet. I didn't show it to you, but I will let you guys know. Sometimes projects don't go the way we want them to. The board it just wasn't completely level. So I had to take a couple of the feet off, add some like little small wood shims in there to get it level. And of course, when you put any weight on it, if you're going to put something on it, that's going to help it as well. You could see that board's kind of flimsy. So anyhow, I painted the feet and then, stained the feet and then stained around the edges. So I really wanted to use this Happiness is Homemade, but I also wanted a coffee cup on there because this is going to go, if I use it in my home, it's going to go in my coffee bar. But I couldn't make that work. So then I had to readjust my thinking and then just move my stencil around where I want to. Now I am using cottage white for the stenciling. And I did not use any kind of tacky or any tape to hold my stencil down, just did it flat with my hand. And because I had to move it around a couple of times, when you stencil and you move it, just when you take it up, go ahead and wipe that down so none of your paint transfers from one section to another. So, and then you'll see in a minute all that I ended up using, but I used a couple different things off of this one stencil to make it all work in the end. Then when I got through, I did coat my project just to save it so that my stencil would not move. So you can see I got Dixie Belle clear coat here. Coat everything real well, and then you will see it styled in my home on my coffee bar. Project number 2, I like to pick up picture frames, not for the pictures necessarily, but for the frame itself, and this one looked really nice. I'm going to use that sage chalk paint again. That's going to be in our next project as well. I'm going to use some transfers that I had on hand. I really like that birdhouse and been wanting to use it. And then I'm going to use some scrapbook paper for a background on that transfer. So I'm going to take this frame apart, of course. Now, I'm not sure, gracious, they did not mean for somebody to get into this thing. I had a hard time getting that out, and I never could remove the glass. I kept pushing on it, and I was scared I was going to break it. I had to use a screwdriver to even get that cardboard backing off of there, but I finally got it out, and then I had just as hard a time getting it back in. So they didn't mean for this to leave, but we deconstructed and we got it. So you can see me here. I'm taking the scrapbook paper and I'm going to fit it into that little section where that picture is currently. And I had a hard time with this. Usually I can kind of take my fingernail, decide where I want to put it. I don't know if it's because that little mauvey part dipped down from the actual little mat. It was a part of the mat, but it dipped down. I don't know if that's what kept throwing me off. Anyhow, it kept me several times of trying it to get it. I used a cutting mat. Finally, I got that to work. So anyhow, I think I cut 3 different papers. You can see the one sitting there, and here I am messing with another one. So third one was a charm. It did fit, so just measure several times and cut once, or if you got plenty of paper, don't worry about it then. But anyhow, it did fit. So I'm just going to use my Elmer's stick school glue to put that down. Now, what I was thinking here was I was just going to use this buttercream from Dixie Belle to just paint over the picture and that mauve color there. But then once I started painting, the mat itself just looked dull and dated. It really wasn't a creamy color. It started looking more of like a yellowish tint to it. So I painted the whole thing. Then I'm going to take, and since I couldn't get the glass out, I had to take painter's tape and put it on my glass so that I could get nice lines on my picture frame because we're going to paint the picture frame with the sage. Then once that was completed, we're going to work on putting our decoupage in. Well, no, we're using the school glue, so I don't know if that, I don't know. We're going to put that little scrapbook paper that we cut into our frame, and then we're going to use stencils to put on that. I only did 1 coat of the chalk paint, and it didn't really sit in those lines like I wanted it to, and then it just looked like it was too newly painted. So I do come back with some antique and wax and just apply it really to those grooves to kind of push it in there, and then always with antique and wax. Just take your paper towel and wipe off as much as you like or as little as you like, just to get the effect that you want there. But here we are just putting the paper down. Then we're going to do our transfers onto that paper. And I decided to use, on the little birdhouse, it said welcome. So I'm going to use home. Good thing about transfers, guys, when you buy these, you're going to find you're going to have all kind of little pieces and parts left over in your stash. One day, I promise you, you'll use them. So just keep those. Don't ever throw out those little pieces. You can combine several different transfers for one effect, but I like the birdhouse and the word home. Now the home, it was a little longer than my frame, but we just adjusted it and cut off some of the little curly cues off the end there. So, and again, just use when you're doing transfers, you're going to use the little tool that they gave you, or if you don't have a tool with whatever you bought, I would suggest just using a craft stick. It will do the same thing. So you're just going to rub it And when you cut your transfers, try to leave you a little sharp edge that'll help you. That'll be the edge that you pull up. So you're just going to rub it on there, and then when you start pulling it up, if you notice that something has not taken, simply go back over it with your tool and lay that down, and it'll all come up eventually. So um, usually on a harder surface, I have a better time with transfers. On something softer, kind of like this mat, it just took me a little bit of time to get all the words to stick on there. But and then as always, whenever you are done, take that sticky piece there, that little plastic vinyl piece. You want to take that in the end and rub it down to get your transfer to look like it's a part of your piece and not something you laid on top. That's called burnishing. And then you can see me here with the antiquing wax. And then I did seal my transfer. Even though it's going to sit in the frame, I did seal it as well. So, and then our project will be finished here shortly, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. This really did turn out to be a beautiful piece in the end. Very custom looking. And just to add to make it more custom in the end, I did end up using some craft paper and just use the school glue again, the stick, and put that on the back to have a finished piece. Okay, guys, last project, and this did turn out to be my favorite. I've had this cutting board on hand for a while, and it's nothing special, it's nothing old, but we're gonna turn it into something. It's just beautiful. And I used this chicken. I wasn't sure about the chicken, but it turns out great. I'm gonna use that sage chalk paint again. I did sand this down. That's not necessary, but it did have some pieces on it and some edges on it that just felt a little rough. So I'd sand it just down lightly. And I'm going to use just one coat of that sage chalk paint on the front and the back. And then I'm going to use that chicken transfer and another, I think Country Life, I think is what it says, but I'm going to use that as well to put on here. And again, you'll see that little craft stick looking thing to the right of me. That is my little tool that they supplied with my transfer. And like I said before, if you don't receive a tool with your transfer, you should, but if you don't, then just use a craft stick because it's about the same thing to rub those transfers down. Now this brush, I love to use this brush because I can get some good quick coverage with it. I did have to push it down in those edges a little bit, but it did work, and I love this brush anyhow. So like I said, one coat front and back, and then we're going to work on our transfers. And then I am going to use my little hand sanding little tool, a finger sander, I think is what they call it. I got it from Temu. It's great. I love it. So I am going to use it to go around the edges and distress it. That's totally optional to you guys. You could use antiquing wax around the edges if you wanted to, but I liked bringing out some of that blonde color wood in the end. So I did sand around the edges, and I also sanded on my transfer. Now don't let that intimidate you. What that is actually going to do if you sand on your transfer is just make it more a part of your piece. It's just going to lay that transfer in there like it came with that transfer on it. So, and then in the end, always with your transfers, please use something to coat them, and I did use Ditsy Belle clear coat. And then I had, I always have nautical rope from Dollar Tree in my stash. I did want to put some up at the top for like if you wanted to hang it somewhere. And then, y'all, this was my favorite piece. That chicken is adorable, and I'm not one to like the country chicken look in my home, but it is adorable. I hope you guys enjoyed all of these projects. Here, this one is finished. And just displayed for you guys, but I hope you guys liked it. If you use any of these ideas, please let me know and send me pictures of it. I'd love to see how your crafts turned out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time.